Good evening. I'm Alicia Menendez. Day 402 of the Biden administration. It is early Saturday morning in Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv. Right now, this home to some 3 million people under siege by Russian forces. Explosions have been rocking the city while fierce fighting is being reported across the country. This video of combat overnight near the Kyiv Zoo, captured by Ukrainian journalist Ilya Ponomarenko. Just hours ago, Ukraine's President Zelensky posted this video from an undisclosed location, warning the fate of Ukraine is being decided now. The West is now directly sanctioning Russian President Putin and his foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov. The EU and the UK were first to announce the move today, followed by the US.
In alignment with the decision by our European allies, the United States will join them in sanctioning President Putin and Foreign Minister Lavrov and members of the Russian National Security Team.
The U.S. and its allies are also stepping up their defensive military posture. NATO today activated its Rapid Response Force for the first time ever to protect allied nations around Ukraine. And tonight, the Pentagon says some 3,800 troops from Fort Stewart, Georgia, are being deployed to Europe to support NATO. According to the New York Times, that brings the number of American troops now on the continent to nearly 100,000. Let's get to Matt Bradley, our NBC News foreign correspondent live in Dnipro, Ukraine, and NBC News foreign correspondent Ralph Sanchez, who is following the latest from Moscow. Matt, I know it is early morning there, but describe the unsettling night you have just experienced where you are.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Alicia, the situation here, we wanted to come to you with a balcony with all of our lights, but there were heavily armed police who came to us here in Dnipro and told us to shut off all of our lights, to pull the curtains and to do this inside. And so that's why I'm coming at you with this kind of bizarre, very dark look. But I have to tell you, what's going on in Kyiv right now, this is the night, according to President Zelensky. And I'm watching this through a peephole. I don't know exactly what's going on. And I have to say, neither do most people who are actually in Kyiv right now. Just judging from social media, we can understand that there is small arms fire going into the middle of the city. And judging from what President Zelensky said, he said that this was the night that all Ukrainians have to stand up and fight for their country. But I have to tell you, Alicia, 48 hours into this, it looks as though Kyiv might be on the precipice of falling and the government there might succumb to this Russian invasion. Just 48 hours. Now, that sounds like a very fast blitzkrieg effort by the Kremlin to get into and remove the government. And if they succeed, that will be devastating. But the fact is, the Ukrainian defenders have done better than anyone, maybe even a lot of the Ukrainian top brass even thought they would. And we heard from our own Courtney Kuby, who was talking to U.S. officials, and they said that actually the Ukrainians have put up quite a bit of a defense and frustrated the Russian invasion on multiple fronts, multiple axes, and that the Russians probably were expecting much less resistance than they actually did. I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you, Alicia, that I think that the fact of the matter is this battle, this war, is probably going to turn into something of a protracted insurgency or a guerrilla campaign against a Russian occupation or against whatever government the Russians put in place. But right now, this is a decisive moment. Vladimir Putin has made very clear that his intentions here are something like regime change. That regime will not be welcome by the Ukrainian people. Alicia?
Matt Bradley for us in Dnipro, Ukraine. Matt, thank you so much, and please stay safe. Raf, what is Putin's focus now in this offensive? He brought up possible peace talks earlier today. Any chance of diplomacy at this stage?
So, Alicia, he brought up the possibility of peace talks, but as Matt was just saying, his forces are closing in on Kyiv. It is not clear if there will be a Ukrainian government to negotiate with in the coming days. For what it's worth, the offer or the proposal from the Russian side is that both the Ukrainian and Russian officials would meet in Minsk, the capital of Belarus, to begin peace talks there. Now, in some ways, that makes sense. Minsk, in the past, has been a neutral venue for the two sides to meet. We've had the Minsk 1 and 2 agreements that were thrashed out there. But Belarus is no longer neutral territory. Today, it is a staging ground for the Russian military. Those troops who are closing in on Kyiv, many of them have been deployed from Belarus. Now, despite all of that, the Ukrainian government say they are still prepared to have talks with the Russian government. President Zelensky has even proposed he would meet face-to-face with Vladimir Putin. I think there's almost no chance of that happening. Putin has denounced him and his government as neo-Nazis and drug addicts. But I think in terms of this potential approach to a negotiating table, Zelensky's best hope, and it's one that he's stated publicly, is that the Ukrainian military and these resistance units may put up enough of a fight that Putin will feel he eventually has no choice but to come and to talk. Alicia?
Raf Sanchez, thank you so much for taking the time being with us.